Hi everyone. Well, a lot has been discussed about education in the past couple of hours. Ideas, viewpoints, suggestions, all raised on this platform. But let me tell you, and I'm sure everyone seated over here would agree, that just like salt is an indispensable ingredient in cooking, all such discussions on education would be completely ineffective without a student's viewpoint, who are the star campaigners. And I'm here to present the same. Today, I stand before you all as a ninth grader. And if any one of you has to ask me what my 10 years of schooling has given me, I would say that the most rewarding experience has been the shaping of my character. Textbooks always lay emphasis on respecting the different cultures, the different religions, the different socio-economic backgrounds. I believe in respecting an individual because when you do so, you automatically respect what he or she represents. I have imbibed the values of punctuality, discipline, kindness, sympathy, empathy because of my constant interactions with my peers. Through the medium of competitions, I have learned that success is not final and failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. All these valuable lessons haven't come from any textbook, but they have gone a long way in shaping me. And let's be honest, when confronted with obstacles or when faced with challenges, will my textual knowledge or my marks matter? Definitely not. When push comes to shove, it is my character that will tide me over. So, where does this leave the curriculum, the highlight of the education system? To put it bluntly, I am completely disillusioned with the system. Over the years, I realized that while there is great attention to detail and theory in textbooks, there is a big gap between my practical and theoretical knowledge. For instance, while I may be great at my theory on the topic of electricity, I don't know how to change a tube light. I know about the importance of water conservation, but should I come across a leaking faucet, I wouldn't know how to change it. So, what is the purpose of my education or my theory if I cannot apply it practically? And this brings me to my next argument. Why am I made to study topics or concepts which have absolutely no practical relevance in my day to day life? I remember when I was in the 8th grade, I was practicing a topic in geometry called congruence of triangles. My mom happened to need a few things urgently from the shop and requested me to purchase them. At the billing counter, the cashier billed me wrongly for rupees 150 instead of rupees 140. I pointed out that she had miscalculated. She gave me a haughty stare at first, recalculated, realized her mistake, and then gave me an apologetic look. During this entire exchange, what was the knowledge application? Basic math from both our sides, right? Did any one of us use the side angle side or the right hypotenuse side theorem? Did she say that the side length of this product is equal to the side length of this product? And so your total works out to so much? No. Then why am I made to invest so much of my precious time in proving how two triangles are equal? Is it relevant to my existence? Right now, as I speak, are you all analyzing what type of nouns, adjectives, or phrasal clauses I have used? I'm sure all of you must be analyzing my presentation and communication skills. Shouldn't this be the focus of education? Building a student's skill sets? As students, we are inundated with so many topics that are obsolete, and while we are forced to cram up these irrelevant topics, we are left with absolutely no time to pursue our own hobbies and interests. While we are dealing with this frustration, we also have to cope with the stress of exams. Once we cross that hurdle, we then have to cope with the burden of expectations. As a student, no matter how confident you are about the way you have answered your papers, on the day of the results, each one of us student is reduced to a bundle of anxiety. And while we students are still resilient enough to deal with our marks, the biggest challenge at that time is to deal with our parents. At one moment, their chest will puff out with pride when you say 100 on 100, and then you should see their shoulders sag when you say 97 on 100. Is all this anxiety necessary? Is it doing anyone any good? Why can't the examination pattern change? Why can't there be more of presentations, projects, or group discussions to test a student? Is there some kind of unwritten law that examinations only have to revolve around writing 100-mark papers? And just like the examination pattern has remained unchanged, so has the style of teaching also remained unchanged. Every day, a teacher comes into a classroom for 35 to 40 minutes, and we are forced to listen to a Bluetooth-less, Wi-Fi-less, antenna-less, non-stop radio. And while this monologue is on, what are we students doing? Well, some of us are playing, some of us are doodling, some are snoozing, and some are vacantly staring into space. You see, by the time you reach the ninth grade, every student has arrived at this one conclusion. It really isn't important to listen to the explanations as long as you get the marks. Whether or not you have understood the topic is irrelevant. So why listen? The point I am trying to make here is, why can't a classroom be more interactive? Take a subject like history. Ask us, would we have done anything differently if we were a leader, say like Mahatma Gandhi? Or in civics, what would we suggest to reduce the number of dropouts in schools among the lower strata? Midday meals are obviously not working. Make it a discussion. Involve us. Maybe a student would come up with a brilliant idea. Maybe there would be another eureka moment. I still remember when I started schooling, I was always asking questions. As I progressed through the grades, teachers had no time for questions. Turns out that just like students, even teachers are burdened with completing their portion. So, somewhere along the way, my curiosity got killed, and education slowly started losing its meaning. Analytical thinking and logical reasoning, two important tools for a student, got sidelined, and the emphasis grew more and more on rote learning. Even a subject like drawing, which is all about creativity, I discovered to my horror, was subject to rote learning. I clearly recall when I was in the first grade, I had to draw a flower for the exam. All my friends complimented me on how beautiful my flower looked. So I was obviously expecting an outstanding grade. Imagine my disappointment when on open house day I saw a grade lower than I had expected. Since my mom too agreed that my flower looked beautiful, we went to meet the drawing teacher. It was almost comical to see my mom's reactions or expressions when my drawing teacher said, "Why has he used so many colors for the petals? In the drawing book, I have made the children color the flower red, no? There is no need for him to change it. He has to use the same colors I give." I almost blurted out, "Teacher, but I have used my imagination." However, a warning look from my mom shushed me up. Consequently, before every drawing exam, I have been memorizing the colors. Such is the system that even creativity gets throttled. But my biggest grievance with the education system is its emphasis on judging a student by his or her marks. And to further add to this injustice, in most classrooms, these poor performers are relegated to the backbenchers. At such times, I always marvel at the wisdom behind Abdul Kalam's words. Some of the brightest minds in the country can be found in the last benches of a classroom. And let me tell you, some of these backbenchers are my very own classmates, whose minds are sharp and full of ideas, but they have no voice because their rote learning skills are not up to the mark, and so their marks suffer. The unfairness of it truly disturbs me. What is the purpose of education if some students are left out? Shouldn't education instill in students the belief that don't let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do? All these thoughts lead to the inevitable question: what are the changes I would like to see in the education system? And this I can best answer by sharing a wonderful piece I came across regarding education written by Ernest Yaboha, a Ghanaian writer whose thoughts echo the changes I envision in education. I stand for a different education where students will not just learn books but life. I stand for a different education where education means creativity. I stand for a different education where students will learn with inspiration even in their desperations. I stand for a different education where students will not just understand what they learn but will practice what they learn with understanding. I stand for a different education where students will not just learn but will reproduce great and noble things with what they learn. I stand for a different education where students will be perfect ambassadors of God on earth and live their daily lives with all due diligence. Thank you.